Welcome to this week's virtual worship gathering. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us again this week as we continue on in our series, Be Still. I'm excited for you guys to get to hear from Leah, share her thoughts on the topic this week. And if you were not able to be at our in-person worship gathering last week, I just wanted to make sure that you guys got the exciting news that starting this month in June, we are going to be increasing our in-person worship gatherings to twice a month. So we will be meeting on the first and third Saturdays at 5 p.m., which means that we are going to be meeting this coming Saturday will be the third Saturday of the month. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we will get to see you guys again that have been meeting with us, and maybe we'll get to see some of you guys who have not yet made it back to an in-person worship gathering. So we're looking forward to that. And then one more exciting announcement that we made last week at our in-person worship gathering, but want to make sure that you are also aware of, is that next month on July 24th, we are going to be doing a baptism celebration. So we've had a few people from our community come forward and say that they would like to be baptized. And so we're going to open that up to more people. And so in the description for this video, you will see a link to one of our digital connect cards. And if you yourself are somebody who's been considering getting baptized, or maybe you just have a few questions about the topic, if you would click on that link, fill out a digital connect card, and at the appropriate part on the bottom, check that you would like more information on baptism. Somebody from our co-leadership team will reach out to you and answer any questions you may have, or add you to the list of those who we are going to celebrate baptizing again on Saturday, July 24th. You'll get a little bit more information about that as we get closer. But for now, again, I'm looking forward to you hearing a new worship practice that we're going to do this week, and then getting to hear Leah speak on this idea of stillness, silence, and solitude.
Hello all, I hope this finds you well. As we continue this week with our series Be Still, I want to first recognize that the world is beginning to open back up, whether we individually are ready or not. And so for many of us, the increased noise can be a source of anxiety or fear. And so it's our hope that through some of these worship practices and worship elements, we can give you some tools in your toolbox to help settle, re-aim your worship, and find rest, from which you can move into mission. So this week, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be engaging in a worship element. It's called welcoming prayer. And so the goal of this practice, the goal of welcoming prayer, is to explore our emotions from the day, whether they're positive or negative, and then to turn them over to God. This is a prayer practice, so as you prepare for this time of prayer, give yourself time and a place of quiet for you to spend time in reflection. And so today we're going to explore the welcoming prayer in 3 parts. And I'll give those parts to us as we go through this practice. The first part as we get started is a time of focus and reflection. So spend the next few moments remembering your day. Take stock of when you felt achievement and when you felt loss. Reflect and recall the moments of joy, of pain, and of frustration, and hold these in your mind. As you hold this reflection of your day in your mind, we're going to move on to the second part. inviting and welcoming God. As you process over each emotion, take time with each emotion to invite God to the head of the table. With each thought, invite God to carry each one. And finally, this third step, as we invite God to take each thing, we must also take this step to let go. So as we begin to think of giving over control, as we share these thoughts with God, I want to share a prayer, the welcoming prayer by Father Thomas Keating. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I welcome everything that comes to me today because I know it's for my healing. I welcome all thoughts, feelings, emotions, persons, situations, and conditions. I let go of my desire for power and control. I let go of my desire for affection, esteem, approval, and pleasure. I let go of my desire for survival and security. I let go of my desire to change any situation, condition, person, or myself. I open to the love and presence of God and God's action within. Amen. So as we finish this practice together, again with these, we're just giving a tool, a framework that you can use. You can process through this prayer as quickly as we just did at multiple points through your day, or at the end of the day, give yourself 20 minutes or so to just sit down and explore these thoughts and turn them over to God. But mostly, I'm pressed to end with this thought, this insight from Christine Yisu that I would encourage you to reflect on as we move in to our message today. She says, any inward practice must move us to outward practices of compassion, mercy, and abundance towards our neighbors. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. For those visiting or checking out Awaken, I am Leah, one of the women here at Awaken, and I get the opportunity to share some words in our Be Still series. Let me take a minute to recap. Week 1, Jeff spoke on the 3 S's: silence, solitude, and stillness. And Jeff shared and challenged us to take some time to be still and practice silence, solitude, and stillness. Heather, the following week, walked us through what stillness can look like and what might get in the way. This week, my challenge is that we are too busy not to be still. Though I would love to take credit for that title, I have to admit it came from a book I read in college called Too Busy Not to Pray. As I prayed and mulled over this week, it just seems to fit. So, confession time. One of my least favorite questions that my husband asks me is, what are you thinking about? I know I should love it because he is genuinely interested in my thoughts and annoyingly knows when my brain is racing. Now, the reason I dislike the question is that it's a loaded answer. My default is nothing in particular. But my loving husband does not typically accept my cop-out answer. And then I have to go through the pile of spaghetti thoughts that are interconnected yet completely isolated. And the answer is something like, well, I am thinking about needing to go to the kitchen so we don't get bugs. Then I have to clean out my file cabinets at school because we're told to get them out of the office. Wait, did I feed the dog? Tomorrow we have to go to the ball field. What did I plan for dinner? Oh my goodness, I need to go to Sam's Club. Oh, I need gas. I have to plant that new plant before it dies. Did I clean the bird bath? Oh my goodness, the hummingbirds. Be still and know that I am God. Think of all the things that crowd our day. Busyness, to-do lists, the amount of things I can't do. Be still and know that I am God. Dinner, deadlines for work, bath. When can I go to the gym? Did I let people off the radar? Be still and know that I am God. Prep the house. Wait, what meeting is tomorrow? Do I need to reach out to this person I haven't seen in a while? Have I played with my kids? Be still and know that I am God. The list is unending. It never stops. There's dishes, the laundry, never ending, right? In Psalm 46, verses 1 through 3, it says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. Skip ahead to verse 10, and it says in Psalm 46, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Be still. Know that He is God. There's so many things I have to do, so little time, so busy. Be still and know that I am God. I don't know about you, but when my mind races and the chaos is in my life, being still seems unproductive. Our lives, however, are so filled with clatter and noise that how do we sift through the thoughts? How do we sift through the heartache, the decisions? When do we take time to refuel? We are too busy not to take a moment and be still and know that He is God. It amazes me how often we try to do life like this. Jesus, who is fully God, took time to be still, to practice solitude, to be in silence. I want to explore some of these situations and call us to be still. Be still to prepare. In Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11, we read the account of Jesus fasting in the desert. Here He's alone. He's preparing for His ministry. He's spending time with God. And though I'm sure there are moments that are super sweet, He's also tempted. In verses 3, 5, and 9, we see the tempter preying on Jesus's human weaknesses of hunger, power, and control, using scripture. And immediately in each verse, Jesus responds in kind and does not succumb. He is able to see the temptation and see clearly. Solitude and silence with God allows us to know what it is exactly that we believe and to stand firm when we go out in the world. There's so much clutter, so many differing views, that unless we have our roots in truth, we will go where the wind takes us. Jesus understood the importance of solitude and even spoke on it, that if you don't have good roots, you will be blown away as chaff is blown in the wind. Be still for guidance. Having a solitary place to be still and silent allows us to hear and to be sensitive to direction. In Mark 1, Jesus has begun his ministry and spent a day speaking and caring. He goes to bed, and then we see in Mark 1, verses 35 through 39, and rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, I can't imagine, he departed and went out to a desolate place. And there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him, and they found him, and they said to him, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let us go on to the next town, that I may preach there also, for that is why I came out." And he went throughout all of Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. Solitude is intuition releasing. To be able to calm the busy and allow God to guide. As I mentioned, my brain does a million spaghetti thoughts. There are times where a walk with our dog, or a moment in the shower, or watering my plants will provide me a clarity that I did not have before. How much more impactful would it be to have purposeful solitude and silence? In an article that I read in The Art of Manliness, there's a section dedicated to the spiritual discipline of solitude and silence. And Brett and Kate McKay spell it out nicely. They say, "The inner stillness created by silence and solitude allows all the distracting details, all the competing interests, all the external shoulds to settle, revealing a clearer picture and reality, a clearer picture of reality and the way to move forward." Take a moment to read through that again. Are there distracting details in your life? What competing interests do you struggle with? What are the shoulds in your life? What is keeping you so busy? Be still to refuel and be cared for. So I'm a Spanish teacher, and after college I chose to move back with my parents and live at home and pay a minimal rent for almost 10 years. And it allowed me the opportunity to spend my summers traveling. And in travels, everyone warns you about culture shock. And I assumed it was shock of the culture, the new culture. But for me, it has always been a culture shock to return home. I have to mentally prepare much more. Overseas, there is a slower pace to life. In Nicaragua, if you are an hour or 3 hours late, you are still on time. It's my kind of country. Spain dedicates the hours of 2 to 5 to siestas, which means everybody goes home and takes a nap for those hours. Nothing is open. Not a store, not a restaurant, nothing is open. The streets are bare. Same on Sundays. They rest. I come home from those trips and the chaos and speed that is the United States culture is almost unbearable. We have to stop letting the chaos control us. We are too busy not to be still. We are on all the time, and that is exhausting. Adjusting to those around us, paying attention to social cues, completing our to-do lists. It's a lot. In the account in Mark 6, prior to Jesus feeding the 5,000, Jesus says to his disciples, "Come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while." It's good to take time to reflect and process a problem. It is good to intentionally seek solitude and silence, to refuel and see clearly. Our culture thrives on busyness and doing. God calls us to be still and know that He is God. We need to allow ourselves to be refueled. I see that image of Michelangelo's where Adam is just half-heartedly reaching and God is trying to have Adam grab hold and he doesn't. God wants to care for us. He wants to refuel us. In Matthew 14, Jesus learns of his cousin being beheaded. And he's in mourning. And where does he go? Matthew 14:13 says, "Now, when he heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself." Jesus needed to refuel and be cared for by his Father. Even in mourning, he needed to be cared for. In the same chapter right after that, then he goes and feeds the 5,000, right? And after that miracle, what does he do? Yet again, in Matthew 14:23, and after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. This example of retreating to God, retreating to solitude, retreating to stillness, silence. Our lives are cluttered, busy and loud. Solitude, stillness, silence. These three allow us to prepare to be in a world and show love, to hear the urging of God's voice. They allow us to be guided and directed as we become familiar with that voice, even in the chaos. It refuels us. A car cannot go on empty, though I try quite often. Nor can our souls. We need a moment to let God hold and fill us so that we have energy to go on. Earlier, if you noticed, I had a jar that I was shaking. It's just dirt and water. And it hasn't been in my hands since we started talking about being still. And if you recall, it was nice and full and dirty. And you might want to rewind and you can see, you couldn't see through it. And now if you look, it's not completely clean yet, but light can get through. Took a moment to calm the busyness to be able to see clearly. It may take more time for more of this dirt to settle, but you get the idea. We have to practice solitude and silence and stillness to be able to see clearer, to have the energy to go on. We are too busy not to be still. Too busy not to take a moment of solace. Too busy not to have a moment of silence. As we finish up, there are 3 questions that we at Awaken like to end on to allow you to talk with your friends or in your missional community. The first one is a head question. It's the knowledge. What can you do to practice some time to hear God's voice and be refueled? Again, what do you or can you do, to practice some time to hear God's voice and be refueled? Second, the heart question. How is this impacting your life? What are the distracting details, competing interests, the external shoulds that need to be settled in your heart? Again, what are the distracting details, the competing interests, the external shoulds that need to be settled in your heart? And finally, the hands question. How does this lead you to action? What is your plan to practice silence, solitude, and stillness this week? Again, what is your plan to practice silence, solitude, and stillness this week? I'm praying that God works in your hearts and that these questions serve to grow you. Have a blessed week.